Haribol Kata. This is outline, structure, and content of the Bhagavad Gita from the Bhakti Shastri course. I will read it and maybe add something from time to time, but I think it is a very nice outline. And then I will go to the second chapter after this, but it will be a separate audio. The Bhagavad Gita begins with an inquiry. With the two armies preparing for battle, Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was doubtful about the possibility of his son's victory over the Pandavas, the sons of Pandu. He therefore asked his secretary Sanjaya about the situation on the battlefield. Even while in the palace, Sanjaya was able to mystically perceive the entire scene and explained everything to the blind king as it happened. So Sanjaya had the ability to see something that's happening in another place, far away, had this mystic power. So Sanjaya said how Arjuna asked Krishna to bring the chariot between the two armies so that he can see who is present and who is ready to fight. And as you know, he has seen many relatives, friends, teachers in both parties. So because of this, he was overwhelmed with sadness and decided not to fight. He explained to Krishna that if he kills his own relatives, for him it would be impossible to enjoy the kingdom of honor, this kingdom on earth. But Krishna explains that this decision was based on his bodily concept of life, in which he identified with the body, considered the body to be his self, and that bodily relatives, his brothers, cousins, grandfathers, belong to him. So in this situation, it's like a difficult life situation, very challenging, very, very hard. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to actually, change Arjuna's world view. Change how Arjuna is observing, how he is seeing this situation. In his first instructions in chapter 2, verse 12, Krishna describes the nature of the self as eternal, conscious being, completely different or distinct from the temporary material body. And further, in the second chapter, he explains the science of this eternal self. And so, Krishna's words constitute the subject matter of the Gita. All his instructions are summarized in the 18th, which is the last chapter, where Lord Krishna gives his final conclusion or final opinion. And he's saying in the verse 66 that the original constitutional position and duty of every living being as an eternal spiritual being is to serve him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to act as he desires. So we see that initially Arjuna actually declined to fight. He refused to fight. But after hearing Krishna's instructions, his whole illusion of the bodily concept of life was dispelled, and he made a decision to fight. Dhritarashtra hoped that his sons will win in the battle, and he was happy when he saw that Arjuna is not willing to fight. But after Sanjaya conveyed, he narrated he actually conveyed what he has heard, that Krishna is telling Arjuna, it was live broadcast, then Dhritarashtra was disappointed. At the end of the Gita, in the closing words, he tells the king Dhritarashtra, you are thinking of victory, but my opinion is that wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there will be all good fortune, there will be morality, there will be wealth, and everything auspicious. So basically, Sanjaya is trying to tell Dhritarashtra that he could not expect victory in this battle. And why victory was certain for the Pandavas and Arjuna? Because Krishna was there. I believe you understand that. The structure of the Gita is that it may be divided into 3 parts, 6 chapters each. So we have chapters 1 to 6, we have chapters 7 to 12, and we have chapters 13 to 18. And there is now, what follows is a short description of these sections, three sections of the Gita. Chapters 1 to 6 describe a living entity as non-material, eternal spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yoga. And the highest form of all yogas is Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. This was confirmed by the final verse of the 6th chapter. Yoginam api sarvesham, madgatenantaratmana, etc. You will see this later in the 6th chapter. Chapter 4 deals with the transcendental position of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and with the importance of Guru and disciplic succession. We see that Krishna's instructions begin in the 2nd chapter, and therefore chapter 1 is like an introduction or a prelude to the rest of the text. Chapter 2 is the whole subject matter of the Gita summarized, and is also, you may call it synopsis. Now we have middle 6 chapters, chapters 7 to 12. There is a description of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. Then also this section deals with the relationship between the Supreme Soul and the individual soul in regards to devotional service. Krishna also discusses the nature and activities of such pure devotional service, which he confirms to be the best process of self-realization. So this is happening in the chapter 12, actually, in the second half of the chapter 12. Krishna describes a pure devotee or pure devotional service. And finally, in the third 6 chapters, there is a description how the living entity comes in contact with material nature, how he becomes entangled, and how he can be delivered by the Supreme Lord through different methods of fruitive activities, karma, cultivation of knowledge, jnana, and devotional service, bhakti. So we may say that Gita is finished in 17 chapters, and chapter 18 is considered to be the summary of all previous instructions in the previous 17 chapters. So this is about the structure of the Gita. You have 3 times 6 chapters, and it is said that also I think Prabhupada said that the middle 6 chapters are most important, and first 6th and last 6 chapters, they are like a cover of the book. But of course, there is so many amazing things in these chapters. It's just like a metaphorical description. Now about the content, there is 5 basic truths described in the Gita. Ishvara, the supreme controller, or Krishna, the supreme Brahman. Jiva, the living entity, also called Atma or Jivatma. Then Prakriti, material nature. Then Kala, time, the duration of existence of the complete manifestation of material nature. So, as you know, nature is being destroyed periodically and then created again to facilitate different living entities who want to be separated from Krishna. And finally, karma, activity, more specifically material activity. So karma refers to material activity. So this is the brief overview of the structure of the Gita and the content of the Gita. And my next audio will be about the second chapter.